Coming up, I have 20 minutes of reasons why Trump started the Epstein War with Iran, and none of them are to help the American people. Let's get started. Okay guys, thanks again for watching the Spin Cycle. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and subscribe, like, share, and let's get started.
With the U.S. and Israel now actively at war against Iran after an unprovoked joint attack, I am going to tell you about the last time the U.S. invaded the Middle East and why. On March 20th, 2003, the U.S. invaded Iraq after a year-long campaign by the Bush administration to convince the entire world that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. I joined the Marine Corps a week later, thinking I was going to be serving in the war of my generation. Only 5 weeks later, President Bush made an infamous speech declaring that the mission was accomplished in Iraq, right before what became a 20-year-long, $8 trillion war that claimed at least 1 million lives, 7,000 of which were American troops. But what was the point? Who benefited from this? Because it certainly wasn't America. Well, let's go back to a famous general named Wesley Clark, who blew the whistle on the real agenda. Clark was not an amateur. He was once the supreme commander of all NATO forces in Europe. He revealed that immediately after 9/11, the military was already discussing a plan to go to war with 7 countries in the next 5 years, even though none of them had anything to do with 9/11. The first 6 nations Clark mentioned were Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Somalia, and Sudan. And during the War on Terror, all of them were attacked or otherwise overthrown. That was because the Zionist agenda was to destabilize the entire region with manufactured insurgencies, which Clark explained were created by the CIA and nurtured in nations that were actually U.S. allies, like Saudi Arabia. Over the course of the next decade, every powerful anti-Zionist government surrounding Israel was brought down. That is what later allowed Israel to engineer the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza, wiping out hundreds of thousands of civilians. And they got away with it, largely because all of the powerful regional governments that would have stepped in to stop this bloodbath had already been taken out by the United States during the War on Terror. All along, it was actually a clearing operation using the U.S. military in service of the Zionists. At the end of Clark's list, there was one nation left, and it was last on purpose: Iran. This is the only large Muslim power left in the region that has not bent the knee to the Zionist agenda, and Israel needs it to be neutralized in order to commence with its Greater Israel Project, a plan for Israel to take possession of nearly the entire Middle East. Looking back, I'm proud of my military service, but not because of what I served. It's because now and forever, I can claim that I put my own ass on the line for what I believed, even if I was misled at the time. That is the difference between me, along with 2.5 million other veterans, and the warmongering Zionist political elites and the cowards that support them on social media from their couches. Today we're on the brink of making the same mistake again. Trillions more spent, years more wasted, millions of lives taken, and for what? For Israel. But if you wake up and share this message, this time the whole world can know about it and push back before Israel takes us all into World War III.
Okay guys, so if you didn't already know, the Iran war that Trump just started, he started for the Zionist movement because they have a bunch of dirt on him, that they got through Jeffrey Epstein, who, whatever Donald Trump says now, him and Jeffrey Epstein was thick as thieves back in the 1980s and 1990s. They were best of friends, running around, being pedophiles. And Epstein was working for Netanyahu. So whatever Epstein knew about Trump, which was a lot, as far as young girls and stuff like that, Netanyahu knows now. And Trump knows if that stuff comes out, it's really the only thing that could really ruin his presidency and take him down. So Netanyahu went there last week to the DC, and he basically said, listen, Donald, you'll see video here soon of Donald pulling out a chair for him and kissing his ass. And who does Donald Trump ass? Whose ass does Donald Trump usually kiss? He's a total narcissist. But he's kissing Netanyahu's ass because Netanyahu has a bunch of dirt on him. Every time Netanyahu comes to DC, Trump kisses his ass, and when he leaves, we're either attacking Iran, sanctioning Iran, letting stuff pass in Gaza that we told him not to do. Trump basically egged on this war by sending a bunch of aircraft carriers into the Gulf region. And once they were there, we spent all this money and time getting there. Trump's not going to look like he has egg on his face. God forbid he looks weak. I mean, everybody knows he's weak, physically and mentally. God forbid he should look weak with the military. So he had to do something. So now he might have killed Khomeini. I think they did. But there's a succession in Iran, a succession of people. It's not just one guy, it's the regime. So the regime is not going to go down easily, and it's not going to go down with just bombing. But the Epstein War, is on Donald Trump and Netanyahu. So the casualties, the 3 dead Americans already, that blood is on Donald Trump's hands. Let's keep going.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future. And it is a noble mission.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
And our leaders are low-life scum that screw little girls so the Jews can screw America. That's what's happening in this country. I just said it. That's what's going on in this country. And our FBI is corrupt. The Supreme Court is corrupt. The Justice Department is corrupt. The news media is corrupt. The whole country is corrupt. Because we've walked away from Almighty God and we've allowed Kabbalah-practicing Jews to defile the nation. Put that video out. Go ahead and clip this video and send it out. I dare you. You won't do it because you're scared that the truth may get out to the American people. I'm had it up to here with the corruption in this country. Little children being raped for the benefit of Israel. That's all it's about, Doc. Little American children being raped for the benefit of Israel. American politicians raping little American girls to be videotaped by Israeli Mossad so that Israel can blackmail American politicians. That's the state of America today. God ought to destroy this country for what we've become.
Well, a few months ago, that seemed like it would have been pretty crazy, or maybe a year ago. But now, I mean, I'm not into the holy roller religion thing like that guy, but it seems like he's right on point now, huh? That's exactly what's going on. Exactly.
Said, oh, he's going to start a war because they said I had that personality to start a war. They remember that? Oh, we can't vote for him. He's going to start a war. No, I used my personality that we didn't have to have wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. Who started no new wars. No new wars. No new wars. We don't need the wars, foreign lands, countries you've never heard of, countries that don't even want us there. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. We will expel the warmongers from our government. You know, we never got into a war with me. I have a great record. We had peace. We had prosperity. We had no wars. We had no wars. That started no wars. We didn't have a war. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will expel the warmongers from our government. And we had no wars. When you see all the people that died in these horrible wars in the Middle East and everything else, countries didn't want us. Look at Trump. Just look at this guy. He's going to go to war. He's going to take us. No. Look at me. I'm the one that kept us out of war. You know, I'm the only president that didn't start a war. I didn't start a war.
This president, no wars.
Started no wars. You're going to end up in a war. Or war or no war. They like a war. They love wars. You know, they love killing people. It's so wonderful. You know, I'm the only president in many, many decades that didn't start a war. They're the party of endless wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new war. The war's all over. He said, bring back Trump. It'll all end. It all ended. We had no problem. I'm going to keep you out of wars. I kept you out of wars. We had no wars with Donald Trump as your president. Remember when crooked Hillary Clinton used to say, he's going to get us into a war. Look at him. Look at his rhetoric. I said, no, my rhetoric's going to keep us out of wars. That's what happened.
And that's just a sample of how many times Donald Trump lied to MAGA. What do you think about that, MAGA? How many MAGAs are watching? Go ahead and comment if you think it's okay that Donald Trump lied to you that many times. So how many wars are we in now? Iran, Venezuela, Cuba soon. Trump's not going to start any wars, huh? It's curious. Was he full of shit about everything? Yeah, I think so.
While you were sleeping, the U.S. and its controlling hand, Israel, launched Operation Roaring Lion. They want you to believe this is a sudden response to an existential threat in Iran, but look at the evidence, because you don't move two carrier strike groups and a global satellite mesh into position overnight. This isn't a reaction, but it's a pre-planned regime overthrow that's been sitting in a desk drawer for years, waiting for the right crisis to justify the carnage. But while they drop bunker busters on Tehran to decapitate another nation's system, they are executing a different type of silent coup right here at home. Under the cover of Emergency Directive 26-03, the predators of this administration are forcing a marriage between the states and the AI giants. They are using the Iran threat and national security as a crowbar to install hunting tools deep within our private networks. They tell us it's to stop Iranian hackers, but the real goal is the Genesis mission, which I've spoken about in previous videos, and it's a total merger of government authority and corporate AI. They are building a single, centralized nervous system to monitor and manage us, the people. And don't be fooled by the Golden Dome or the Iron Beam, because this war is their live fire laboratory. They are using Iranian lives and our tax dollars to field test autonomous drone swarms and brain computer. Because they want to see how fast their algorithms can unalive before they bring those same security solutions to our own streets. They are already whispering about a digital curfew here in the US to protect the grid, and they want the power to flip our switch if we start seeing the truth. They want us scared, in the dark, and divided. The system doesn't protect us, but it processes us instead, and it's time we stopped feeding the machine that builds our own cages. Stay awake, and stay united. We do not forgive, we do not forget. Anonymously enlightening out.
Why did the U.S. invade Iraq in 2003? That war came from Netanyahu, actually.
If you take out Saddam, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch, sorry to tell you. Because he's gotten us into endless wars, and because of the power of all of this in the U.S. politics, he's gotten his way.
Yeah, if nobody's noticed yet, Trump has been talking us into wars with the Middle East for 25 years, and our cucked presidents, George W. Bush, Obama to an extent as well, and Trump, all played ball for whatever reason. You know, like the guy said a few videos ago, they have dirt on all U.S. politicians. They all those politicians that go to these retreats in Israel, what they do is they send young girls, you know, the Israeli government, they send young girls to their hotels to have sex with them and cheat on their wives, and they get it all on video. If you know, that's one strategy. The other strategy is just give them a ton of money, and then I'm sure they have other stuff. They are blackmailing these congressmen and senators and basically all the politicians for. But that's what it is all about. And you know, Israel's Zionist mission is basically to take over the whole Middle East for themselves.
Thank God our Prime Minister has declared that we're not having anything to do with it. We are not participating in it. It's an illegal war. We are not going to allow them to use our bases or any of our sites around the world. I doubt, Paul, one single country will rise up and join the Israel-US attacks on Iran.
Australia's backed it.
Yes, but will they join in? This is the Epstein Wars. It's so that Trump has got a reason to stop the midterms, and Israel has got a reason to stop the October elections as well. This has got nothing to do with defending the Iranians. And remember, we cannot stop Iran from getting the nuclear bomb. They've already increased their uranium capacity by about 50% since May, and they've hidden their capacity in the Isfahan mountains. Yeah. We can't stop Iran from getting the nuclear bomb. But this war is insane. If we're attacked, we'll have to defend our sites, obviously. But this is not our war. This is America and Israel's war, and I'm hoping it will peter out.
My opinion, this is a huge distraction from the Epstein files. But two things Americans can unite on right now is we are against Israel and we are against their bidding and their never-ending wars. And we are for no wars. We are for peace, because all we have been told from our politicians for however long is we need to fight these people because they are a threat to our democracy. No, how about the politicians? Sign up yourselves, sign up your children, and you go fight those wars, because over 90% of Americans do not want war with Iran. We don't want war, period. For the boomers in the back saying, well, they say death to America. Wouldn't you say the same thing? We have been bombing and killing them and their families for over decades for Israel's behalf. I would be saying the same exact thing if I was in their place. Last time I checked, Iran hasn't stolen any of our freedoms. Government has. Iran didn't run up $38 trillion in national debt. Our politicians. Iran didn't pass the Patriot Act to spy on Americans. Our government. Iran didn't pass the income tax. Our government. Iran didn't establish the IRS. Iran didn't hand over full control of U.S. monetary policy to a private banking cartel with the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Iran didn't lock down American cities, businesses, and schools. Iran didn't print $7 trillion during the COVID pandemic and try to destroy the American economy. Iran isn't flooding American airways with pharmaceutical products. Iran isn't trying to block out the sun or spraying harmful chemicals all over the skies. Iran isn't spraying all of our crops with cancer pesticides. That's our government. Iran didn't draw up plans to assassinate Julian Assange for exposing U.S. war crimes in the Middle East from our government. Iran didn't exile Edward Snowden for revealing the widespread illegal surveillance being conducted on American citizens. Iran, most importantly, didn't assassinate JFK, RFK, or Charlie Kirk. We all know who took out Charlie Kirk. This is infuriating. Infuriating. Let me know what you guys think. Have a good day.
I don't know about Charlie Kirk, but you guys can see that that guy is not, he's not a progressive like me. He's wearing an America First hat. So this isn't, like I always say on this channel, this isn't a blue or red thing. It's not a right or left thing. It's a billionaire Epstein class thing against the other 99% of us. Me, him, you.
Isn't it interesting how the biggest political scandals sometimes disappear the moment a global crisis starts trending? New reporting says that Donald Trump was named in more than 50 pages of documents tied to a particular case within the Jeffrey Epstein files. According to reporting, the documents include allegations involving a 13-year-old child as an accuser. Critics say those materials were buried inside the files, held by the U.S. Department of Justice for years, and the revelations were just starting to spread. Then suddenly, escalation, breaking news. The United States and Israel carry out an attack on Iran, with explosions reported in Tehran. Within seconds, the global media starts to shift its attention and coverage almost entirely to the new potential war in the Middle East. Why this matters? When massive geopolitical events break, they naturally dominate headlines. But critics are asking this: what stories will suddenly disappear when a news cycle suddenly changes? Because sometimes the timing of the biggest headlines raises just as many questions as the actual event itself. Share your thoughts in the comments section and follow me for more.
So MAGA, how come you're not outraging about that? How much are you going to protect Donald Trump? Donald Trump is the epitome of the Epstein files. He's all over the Epstein files. I'm sure what they redacted and held back, the videos, Donald Trump is all over them. Why do you keep insisting that Donald Trump is innocent of everything when all the evidence proves otherwise?
This has been about Israel's regional hegemony in the Middle East. Israel wants to topple the Iranian regime. Period. It has said so. This is not a mystery. This is not my claim. This is Israeli policy repeated year in, year out. The whole idea that Trump is negotiating to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, that was negotiated. Trump ripped it up. The Iranians have come back every year to say we don't want a nuclear weapon, we want negotiations. The United States does not accept yes for an answer because it works for the government of Israel. This is the point. Why does it work for the government of Israel? It's a little hard to understand. Maybe because it's of Mike Hucklebee's parishioners.
Did you guys hear what Iran did? They exposed the whole system in plain view several days ago. You guys do see who's there and what this all implicates, right? Like, I literally have videos going viral talking about this stuff. Several days ago, Iran hosted an event where they burned the statue of Baal. 2 days later, Trump says change in power in Iran would be best after sending its second aircraft carrier to the region. So Iran just exposed Trump, Israel, and Epstein, okay? And Trump is responding by saying regime change needs to happen, and now they're sending more people to the Middle East. God warned us about Israel in Acts and Amos. They told us about the deity they follow, the star they've made for themselves. And you know they follow this deity because what they do to children, they're okay with doing the children food, so they follow it. You are to test their fruits. So Iran is now publicly putting out there all of this, which I think is funny because, like, over the last 3 days, I have a whole bunch of videos that are going viral talking about just this. And now all of a sudden, Iran is getting very bold, and Trump is now going after Iran. Bro, that's crazy. The veil is being removed.
Everything that Donald Trump is doing, he's doing because he has no choice but to do. If Donald Trump goes against the Zionist agenda, he will go to jail for the rest of his life for being complicit in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. People are saying Donald Trump said no new wars. Donald Trump said, why are we fighting other people's battles? If the war isn't important for America, why are we getting in it? But now you see him, he completely contradicted himself. You just bombed Nigeria, you bombed and invaded Venezuela, kidnapped the president. You sending threats to Iran that you're going to bomb them on behalf of the Zionists in Israel. Why is Donald Trump dancing to a different drum than the one he played when he campaigned for presidency of the United States the second term? Because he didn't know the Zionists had a blackmail card on him. Donald Trump has to do exactly what they tell him to do, or he will go to jail for the rest of his life. Not because he participated necessarily, but because he had knowledge of it and did nothing about it. There's a viral video of Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. I think they're at the White House, and Donald Trump pulls his chair out, and then he sits down and he pushes his chair, and he was basically being subservient to Netanyahu. You've never seen Donald Trump as arrogant and narcissistic as he is. You've never seen him be subservient to any man. That's the first time I've seen Donald Trump be subservient in his life. Why is he bowing down to Netanyahu? Because they got the blackmail card, Epstein Island. Everything that...
That's exactly right, guys. We have a president that's compromised. MAGA, tell me what you think in the comments down below. All those reasons you just heard for why Donald Trump got us into yet another trillions of dollar war in the Middle East, not because it's good for the American people, not because it's good for the American government, but because it's good for Israel, because Israel's Zionist movement wants to take control of the whole Middle East. What do you think about all those reasons? Go ahead and comment below. Let me know. If you like getting interesting and outside the box opinions about what's going on in the world, go ahead and subscribe to the Spin Cycle. Go ahead and subscribe, like, hit that bell for notifications so you know when we drop a new video. See you next time.